You think making more money will finally fix your life. Not improve it. Not make things easier. Fix it. You imagine there's some magical salary where the stress disappears, where you stop checking your bank account before buying food, where your chest doesn't tighten every time your phone lights up with another bill. And for most people, that number feels far away. But here's the strange part. Every salary level comes with a completely different life, different routines, different fears, different relationships, different ways of thinking. The person making $30,000 a year wakes up in a different world than the person making $500,000. And most people never realize how dramatic those differences actually are. Because the higher you climb, the less your problems disappear. They just evolve. At $30,000 a year, life feels like survival mode. You probably live in a small apartment with thin walls and bad lighting. Your car has a weird noise you pretend not to hear because fixing it would destroy your entire month. You check prices before buying almost everything. You know exactly how much money is in your account at all times because one mistake can ruin everything. A night out isn't casual. It's a financial decision. Vacations barely exist. Saving money feels impossible. Emergencies feel terrifying. And the worst part isn't even being broke. It's the mental exhaustion. Because every decision becomes math. You walk into a grocery store already calculating totals in your head. You delay dentist appointments. You wait before replacing old shoes. You refresh your bank app after paying rent just to see what survived. Life becomes reactive instead of proactive. You aren't building a future. You're trying to survive the present. And eventually, you start believing this is just how adulthood feels. At this level, free time doesn't even feel relaxing. Because even when you're technically resting, your brain is still running calculations in the background. Rent, gas, food, insurance, that random bill you forgot about. The possibility of your car suddenly breaking down on a Tuesday morning. Everything feels fragile. And when life feels fragile for long enough, your personality starts changing. You become more cautious, more anxious, more tired. Small inconveniences suddenly feel massive because financially, they actually are. A parking ticket can ruin your entire week. One medical issue can erase months of progress. So your brain never fully relaxes. Then you hit around $50,000 a year. And for the first time in a long time, you can breathe a little. Not fully, but enough to notice the difference. You can occasionally order food without guilt. You don't panic every single time your card machine takes an extra second to process. Maybe you finally move into a cleaner apartment. Maybe you buy clothes because you actually like them instead of because they were on clearance. But something strange starts happening here. Your lifestyle quietly expands. The extra money doesn't sit in your account very long because your standards rise with it. You upgrade your phone. Your rent increases. Your subscriptions multiply. You start wanting convenience because you're exhausted from struggling. And suddenly, the freedom you imagined still doesn't fully arrive. Because humans adapt incredibly fast. What once felt luxurious now feels normal. And normal becomes invisible almost immediately. At this level, most people start comparing themselves constantly. Not to billionaires. To coworkers. Friends. People on Instagram. The guy from high school posting pictures in Dubai. You realize money isn't just survival anymore. It's status. And status becomes addictive. This is usually where people make their first big lifestyle mistakes. They finance cars they can barely afford. They move into apartments that look impressive online, but quietly drain their bank account every month. They start spending money emotionally instead of strategically because after years of struggling, they finally want proof that their hard work mattered. And honestly, it feels good at first. Walking into a nicer apartment feels good. Driving a better car feels good. Buying expensive headphones or a watch you always wanted feels good. But eventually, those purchases stop creating happiness. And once the excitement disappears, the monthly payments stay. Then somewhere around $75,000 to $100,000 a year, life changes again. This is where many people finally start feeling successful. Your apartment probably looks nice now. You can afford decent restaurants without checking prices first. You buy better furniture, better headphones, better coffee. Your groceries stop coming from the cheapest aisle in the store. And for the first time, your life actually starts looking good from the outside. But there's a hidden trap at this level nobody talks about. Lifestyle inflation becomes almost invisible because every upgrade feels reasonable. You work hard, so the nicer car makes sense. The luxury gym membership makes sense. The expensive apartment closer to downtown makes sense. The weekend trips make sense. Until one day you realize your expenses expanded almost perfectly to match your income. You make double what you used to, but somehow you still feel financially tense. And psychologically, this level creates a dangerous illusion. You feel rich compared to your past self, but still average compared to the people above you. That gap creates permanent dissatisfaction. especially in expensive cities where a six-figure salary somehow still feels weirdly normal. And this is where work starts consuming your identity. At lower salaries, work is survival. At six figures, work becomes self-worth. Your job title matters now. Your LinkedIn matters. Your productivity matters. You start optimizing yourself like a machine because everyone around you is competing too. The money improved your life, but your brain got louder. You wake up earlier. You answer emails faster. You start feeling guilty when you're unproductive. Even relaxing becomes scheduled. And there's another weird shift here. You slowly stop celebrating what you already achieved. Because the moment you reach one financial milestone, your brain immediately creates another one. At first it was surviving. Then it was making six figures. Then it's investing more. Then buying property. Then retiring early. Then building wealth. The target keeps moving. And most people never notice the treadmill speeding up beneath them. Then you reach around $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And from the outside, this looks like the dream. Luxury apartment, nice car, international vacations, high-end restaurants, investment accounts. People assume you've made it. But this level introduces a new problem. Time starts disappearing. Because high income usually comes attached to high responsibility. You answer emails during dinner. Your phone never fully stops buzzing. Vacations become remote work in different locations. Your calendar controls your life more than you do. And there's another strange effect. Your world becomes smaller. Not financially, socially. Because once you enter higher income environments, everyone around you slowly becomes obsessed with performance. Conversations revolve around startups, investments, networking, promotions, productivity, optimization. Everything becomes leverage. Even friendships start feeling transactional. And the scariest part? You become terrified of falling backwards. Because once your lifestyle expands far enough, losing income feels catastrophic. Your mortgage is bigger. Your expenses are bigger. Your expectations are bigger. Your ego is bigger. So even though you technically have more freedom than ever, you feel trapped maintaining it. At this level, many people secretly realize something uncomfortable. They no longer control the money. The money controls them. A lot of people here start fantasizing about escape. Not because they hate luxury, but because they miss simplicity. They miss having evenings that belong to them. They miss hanging out with friends without checking notifications every 5 minutes. They miss hobbies that weren't monetized. They miss feeling present. Because once your income becomes tied to constant performance, resting can feel dangerous. You start believing that slowing down means falling behind. And in competitive industries, sometimes that's actually true. Then there's the world of $500,000 a year. And this is where people imagine pure happiness. Massive homes, luxury cars, private schools, business class flights, fancy watches, complete freedom. But reality gets weird up here. Because the richer people become, the more detached life can feel. You stop interacting with normal problems. You stop seeing how most people live. Entire systems appear designed to remove inconvenience from your life. Assistants book things for you. Deliveries arrive constantly. Services solve problems before you even notice them. Your life becomes frictionless. But humans actually need some friction to feel grounded. And many wealthy people slowly lose that feeling. Success becomes strangely isolating. At this level, trust becomes complicated. You start wondering why people like you. Is it because of who you are? Or because of your status? Your network? Your money? Relationships become harder to read. And psychologically, ambition becomes endless. Because no matter how much money you make, there's always someone making more. Someone with a bigger house, a bigger company, a bigger exit, a bigger life. The finish line keeps moving forever. That's why some high earners become obsessed with optimization. Cold plunges, supplements, biohacking, luxury productivity routines, extreme fitness. Not because they necessarily enjoy them, but because achievement becomes their entire identity. And when your identity depends on constantly moving upward, stopping feels terrifying. What's interesting is that wealthy people often stop worrying about small purchases completely. A $200 dinner barely registers, but they become obsessed with much larger numbers. Investments, taxes, market crashes, business deals, asset protection. Because when you accumulate enough money, your focus shifts from earning to protecting. And protecting wealth can become psychologically exhausting, especially when your lifestyle, reputation, employees, family, and identity are all connected to maintaining it. That's why some extremely successful people never seem relaxed. They're carrying invisible pressure most people never see. And strangely enough, some of the happiest people aren't necessarily the richest. They're usually the people who figured out what enough means before the chase consumed them. Because there's a dangerous illusion hidden inside ambition. The illusion that happiness is always waiting one more level above your current life. But humans are adaptation machines. You adapt to almost everything. The new apartment, the new car, the higher salary, the luxury lifestyle. Eventually, your brain normalizes all of it. And once it becomes normal, your mind starts searching for the next upgrade again. That's why people making $500,000 a year can still feel financially insecure. Not because they're poor, but because human desire has no natural finish line. And social comparison never ends. There will always be someone richer, someone younger, someone more successful, someone moving faster, someone posting a more impressive life online. That comparison quietly destroys gratitude. And without gratitude, even luxury starts feeling emotionally flat. But here's the part almost nobody expects. The biggest difference between salary levels isn't actually the stuff. It's the emotional experience of time. At lower incomes, the future feels uncertain. Every month feels fragile. You think short-term because survival forces you to. As income rises, you buy more control over your future. You reduce uncertainty. You create buffers between yourself and disaster. And that changes your psychology more than the luxury ever does. Because money, at its core, is stored stress reduction. That's why the jump from $30,000 to $70,000 often feels dramatically bigger than the jump from $300,000 to $500,000. The first jump changes survival. The second mostly changes comfort. And after a certain point, more income stops solving emotional problems entirely. Anxious people stay anxious. Insecure people stay insecure. Lonely people stay lonely. Money can remove pressure, but it can't automatically create meaning. And sometimes the people making the most money quietly build lives they barely have time to enjoy. That's the paradox nobody tells you when you're young. You spend your early life believing rich people escape the game. Then you eventually realize they're often just playing a different version of it. A version with nicer furniture, better lighting, and much higher stakes. Because every salary level changes your lifestyle. But unless you consciously decide what enough means, the chase never actually ends. There's always another upgrade, another goal, another level, another number that promises peace. And maybe that's the biggest financial trap of all. Not being poor, but spending your entire life believing happiness starts at the next income level instead of learning how to recognize it where you already are.